What is up? It's a Figure Hunter, and today we're going to do a first look at the Amazfit T-Rex Ultra that came out about 4 days ago with an all-new casing design and the same beautiful 1.4-inch AMOLED screen. So if you like this review, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. Also being released today is the first look for the Garmin Forerunner 265, which also has a new AMOLED screen on their Forerunner lineup. So stay tuned for more there. But looking at the Amazfit T-Rex Ultra, I was really interested in this because of the new design. I felt like the previous T-Rex with its all plastic casing didn't have the same appeal. It looked a little bit trinket-y, and the new stainless steel body really adds a sharp and strong look to the beautiful screen that goes with it. So we're going to look at the ins and outs of this. If you look at the spec sheet, it's 47 millimeters. We're going to look at the size actually hands-on just to see how much bigger it is than, the 47 millimeters. 89 grams in weight, which puts it a little bit on the higher end, but the new watch band design that we'll see in a second is actually making it feel plenty comfortable. 10 ATM water resistant, which is higher than most. Obviously the 1.4-inch AMOLED screen, 20 days of claimed battery life, and even 9 days with always on and heavy use. The thing that's a downside on the specs is that the heart rate sensor on the back is the same as the GTR3, which is one generation ago, which is the BioTracker 3.0. So we're going to be watching that as I review it in full. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a hands-on, just the overall size as well as the beauty of the screen. We're going to look at the overview of the features that the watch offers out of the box. We're going to look at the workout and the training load as I test this watch for particularly CrossFit or high intensity interval training, as I do everything on the channel here. We're not going to look at GPS tracks because you can find that in other reviews. We're going to look at the app, looking at the overview, looking at how you can set up or change the settings in the watch or add watch faces, as well as the workout specifics. We're going to look at one heart rate result from a CrossFit workout today and see how it fared. And then we're going to talk about it in summary. So with that, let's dive in. All right, so here you have it, the new Amazfit Ultra in all of its beauty. The biggest thing about it that I really love is the all stainless steel bezel and side and back. The body in itself in between is plastic, but the buttons themselves are metal as well. It's even got a metal clasp on the watch band. The watch band is relatively comfortable, and it has this hinge system for how it sort of hugs your wrist a little bit more comfortably. It just, the hinges go up and down like that. But the watch feels very comfortable, although it is 89 grams, which averages out a little bit heavier than the Garmin Epix or the Fenix 7. It does claim a 47 millimeter, but just look at, this is the all black version. You can just see the stainless. It gives it a much more professional, more rugged, more just strong look to it. And, the metal clasps, everything about it feels premium, feels high quality. If you look at the actual width of it, if you go from, so like you can see, if you see close here, there's these little protrusions here. So usually you don't measure from button to button, but you just measure the overall case itself. But with those protrusions, if you actually measure on the protrusions themselves, you're looking at almost 49 millimeters, so not 47. If you were to go in between a button, like here and here, you might be able to get closer to 47, but it's really 49 millimeter watch when it comes to what the effective width is, because even in between the buttons, there's protrusion, which actually creates a little bit of a protective area over the button. If you look at the width of it and the thickness, it's 15.4. And if you were to compare that to another larger watch, this is how it's going to look compared to the Garmin Enduro, which is rated as a 51. So obviously you laid them on top of each other, you're going to see the Enduro down beneath it. The Enduro itself, you were just looking at overall comparison, is 16.9. So this is about 1.5 millimeters more thin. And you can see the difference in the screen quality and just the overall brilliance when you look at a transflective, or what they call memory and pixel, versus the AMOLED. This is not turned up to max brightness, but you can just see an overall experience difference when you look at this. Has got the backlight on. This is brilliant. The other thing about transflectives is you have to raise your wrist to get a backlight. So if you're in a dim or dark room, unless you raise your wrist, you're not seeing this thing. Even though it's claimed always on, it is always showing something, but if there's not light, then you can't see it. But here you can have an always on and you can see it at all times. So there, I actually raised the brightness because it's on this auto adjustment, which is barely giving me whatever I need. But you can see the brightness now is crisp and clear. This is how it looks on my 176 millimeter wrist. It feels comfortable with those lugs and the way that it holds across the wrist because of just the design. But overall, it feels very comfortable. I don't notice any extra weight versus what you would experience otherwise. So let's take a look at some of the features. Okay, so looking at some of the features, you swipe to the right and you'll get your notifications. They come in crisp and clear, really pretty. I noticed that not all notifications are coming in, meaning certain specialty notifications just don't. You pull down from the top and you'll get your quick menu, which you can adjust. I love that Amazfit allows you to adjust this to whatever icon you want. You have like limited access to all sorts of things. You can change a lot. I will say, in looking at the battery life, this is about 1 day of use and it's down 11% with always on display. I did not have, I had it auto adjust on the brightness. So I'm not, keeping it at max brightness like this. And it's been fine so far as readability. You swipe up and you're going to get your little widget glances, whether it's a little timer or whether it's going to be, last exercise, training load, training status, PAI, which is their sort of evaluation for how much rigor you put into the week so far, as well as just a bunch of other little tidbits and details. So you go into, oops, no, I don't want to do that. Shortcut cards, that's where you would change it. You can go to the right and you'll get your menu, which you just scroll through. You can push buttons to go through these things if you like the control a button provides. But it does things like track your stress, track your pulse ox, your blood oxygen level. It has music storage. Doesn't really count because it's MP3s, in my opinion, unless you're doing a music provider like Spotify, it doesn't count. Calendar, alarms, membership cards, settings, and more. But it does all the basics you would want. I do happen to love, like if you just were to look at, it's just, like the weather widget, you can see like the trend over the next few hours. I really like that you can just sort of see where the weather's going and temperature wise. And then you can have your forecast. You can see the chance of rain, 80%. You see, it getting cloudy later in the day. You can see your summary of information as well as, basics for the upcoming days to come. Then you look at the workout type features. So we'll swipe, we'll look at the menu, and we'll go to workout history. This is what you're going to see after a workout. So it's going to show you the training effect of the workout as well as like a summary of information for the workout, including your heart rate zones and your heart rate graph. As we'll see in a second when we look at the actual heart rate results, it is tracking high, but either way, it's going to give you this primary feature of the training effect, both the load as well as the aerobic training effect and the anaerobic training effect. Now, this is monstrously high. If you were to really look at it, this workout was hard for sure. It was the first workout, so we'll have to track this over time to be able to see how it evaluates things as I go forward. But it's saying I had like maxed out both categories, and that was not what this workout was today. So that's what you get in the workout. In the workout itself, you can adjust data fields so you can see more or less data fields, and you can change the contents on each data field. We're not going to look at that in detail until we get to the maybe the final review. But here's your training status, which gives your training load over the last 7 days. You can see it rated this load for this one workout as 486, which is astronomically high. That's saying that's what the post-exercise oxygen consumption was to keep up with the intensity of the workout. And then it gave me 91 days to full recovery. So the workout was so hard, I need to take like whatever that calculation is divided by 24. I need to take a million days off. So we're going to test all these things. One thing, that I do like in concept is the fact that it is tracking your stress throughout the day. The only downside we'll see in the app is that these lines where there's gaps, there's actually more gaps than what you could see. And it gives you the stress range. So that is another reoccurring failure of Amazfit to provide stress tracking, but it's not able to provide it on the go as you live your life, which is when you need your stress tracked. So let's look at the app. All right, so this is the landing page of the Zepp app, which is the watch app that Amazfit is connected to. You can see you can rearrange what features go where on this page. Summary of workouts, sleep, breathing quality, stress and blood oxygen, exercise status, that training status metric, your heart rate throughout the day. There's a coaching metric, which again, this channel tests more for CrossFit and high intensity interval training, so we're not going to do any running program, steps, calories, PAI. So this is the basic landing page for all of that. And if you go into the profile, you can see your watch and you can see the types of things that you can turn on or off. You can adjust, I have it set to maximum auto heart rate monitor of 1 every minute. Advanced sleep monitoring, stress, everything's turned on, other than a reminder to like calm down if I need to. Notifications, everything's on there except for an email, which I'm not set up with. Watch faces. So here you can see, the only thing I'd say about the watch faces is that I wouldn't put an animated watch face on there because number one, it took like 15 minutes just to put it on the watch. And number two, it'll burn more battery life. It really wish the watch faces you could just pick like 10 and then just say go and it would upload them then, but you have to do them one at a time and everything freezes until you're done. But they have a ton of great options, really, really good looking watch faces. The App Store, we're not going to look at. Watch settings, you can get into all the primary settings here. And you can see you can even do app settings specifically. If you wanted to have a training template, if you want to adjust your music or download the music, find your watch easily, and just the basics. So it already did one update, and the update went relatively smooth. You just have to, wait. I guess it was probably 10 minutes for it to fully update. And then you look at just one of the primary uses of the watch is it a good sports and training watch? And so here's the results of the workout today. The workout was hard. It was like a 30-minute workout with 4 minutes of work and 1 minute of rest. So 6 5-minute intervals. And it wasn't too labor intensive across the wrist. It just included rowing, biking, burpees, and toes to bar. And you can see it gave me a high rating. We're going to look at the results of the accuracy here. But I was 10 minutes in the zone 5, which is maybe a little bit more than normal, but about the same. And then in general in the other zones, but it gave me a training effect, and that's a scale of 0 to 5 at the peak of 5, excessive, and an anaerobic training effect of 0 to 5 at the peak of 4.9, so almost at the peak. And as we saw on the watch, 5 days of rest is required. So that is the summary of what you see there, as well as you can see the training load. You don't see anywhere in the app itself your recovery time needed. So the training load from one workout is already almost pushing me into the green. I think that's a lot that's a big old epoch for the workout itself. So that's how the workout looks. Like if you were to go to this workout and you were to say, okay, you can see the heart rates. Well, is that intense? And this is the aerobic effect and the anaerobic effect, as well as we saw it had a training load score of 486. If you look at that same workout in Garmin, it had an epoch or training load score of 222 at the top there. And then if you go into the workout itself, you can see it had a training effect that was on the higher end of 3.9 and then an anaerobic of 2.6. I have found Garmin's to be spot on with how I feel, with the impact of my body, with the amount of recovery that's needed, and in both categories. So that is that. And so let's look at the results of the first workout on the heart rate graph. You can see this versus a chest strap. You can't export the data, so it's a pain in the butt. I'm not going to probably do this that often. But you can see, it followed the flow of the workout relatively well up until the end. That was like a 6-minute EMOM for double unders. But it followed the flow of the workout in general. It just over peaked it. So like the orange below, like the dark red above is the Amazfit. So it's over peaking each of the peaks, and it's doing it on a regular basis. So it's constantly going over and over evaluating the intensity of the workout. Does that difference correlate to a 5.0 anaerobic? No, it doesn't. It's just not enough time in those ultra peak zones to translate to an aerobic effect of 5.0 at the highest end of the scale. And it definitely doesn't show a workout that you did spend that much time, but it wasn't that long in those higher zones. It doesn't show a workout that would necessitate 91 hours, or 93 hours is when I got done. So we'll track this a little bit more, but then also compare it to a chest strap to make sure we're getting accurate results on the training load itself. So let's talk in summary. All right, so what do I feel on my first impression, the first 24 hours, the first look at the Amazfit T-Rex Ultra? I think it has an awesome look and feel. I think it feels good on the wrist. I think it looks great. It no longer has that sort of trinket look to it that the T-Rex and the T-Rex Pro and T-Rex Pro 2 all had to them. And I really like the look and feel, but the same issues are already coming out of the gate day one. So you can see an overestimation of training load, aerobic and anaerobic training effect, as well as recovery time from one workout that many other watches view as a hard workout or evaluated to be a hard workout, but not something that wrecked me for multiple days on end. The stress is still not tracking all day. Obviously, it just is not picking up, but spot checking throughout the day whenever you're still enough for it to get a measurement. And it needs a chest strap, as I have tested the BioTracker 3.0 heart rate sensor as I've done in previous videos with the GTR3, as well as even the T-Rex, I think originally. It needs a chest strap because it was found to be really in the 70 to 80%, probably more towards 70% accuracy level when doing ultra high intensity like CrossFit or high intensity interval training. So we'll look at that more in the days to come. But with that, that's just the first look at the Amazfit T-Rex Ultra. Vic, your Hunter, thanks so much for watching.